Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic, and today, I know it's August 1st already, but we're doing the retro movies for 2023 of July of 2023. Let's go ahead and get started ranking all 38 movies on a tier list. Alright, so you already know how that tier list works, so let's just go ahead and get started with this. First up, we have Mission Impossible Fallout, and you know, honestly, this was, of all the films I saw in July, this was the one I loved the most. And, I mean, from the action, to the score, to the story. But even the story in the Mission Impossible films aren't the most memorable. The story in here is pretty good. The action is fantastic with the sounds, and the characters are great. The movie overall is great. Just go watch my review. The only flop I have, just the not necessarily used versions of, like, big actors like, Angela Bassett and Vanessa Kirby, though they're greatly used in Hobbs and Shaw and Black Panther, but you can just go watch those other movies, not with this movie. Though Vanessa Kirby is much better in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, but Mission Impossible 6 is still great, so you're going in A tier. And next up we have Barbie Mermaid Power, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, this was at a time where I was kind of, okay, I'm watching my second Barbie movie, and then I'm like, this is actually kind of good. I mean, obviously it's corny and cheesy, but it's actually pretty good. I don't know if I would put it in B, but I'm going to put it in C, just because it's not the most interesting story in the world, but it is fun, though. Then we get Megan. I actually had a pretty good time with this movie. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put Mermaid Power here. Yeah. Megan, I had a good time with it. So this past month I've been I've been watching for the first time movies from January, since I missed a lot of them. Like, if you remember back from my first year, or my first month, I did not rank anything besides retro films, which was kind of disappointing. But as for me, I liked Megan. It's not the greatest movie in the world. I thought the horror effects was great. This is basically like the 2020s version of the 20s era version of Annabelle, except if Annabelle actually was the main threat. So I'm actually putting in the C tier. Though I actually watched Annabelle, which you'll actually see in the list later on, but yeah. Then we get The Old Way. I thought this was a pretty good Nicolas Cage Western. And I thought it was pretty good. I will put it in the B tier, and you'll go here. Just because I kind of liked Barbie. Actually, you know what? I'll put it above Mermaid Power, just because I think Old Way is a little bit more mature for me. And then we get 1776. This was one I actually thought was enjoyable, where they took history of the independent stuff and made it a musical, but made it kind of interesting, which I thought was very fun, and a very fun, unique twist. So for me, I'm actually going to put this in the B tier. I really liked 1776. Then we get this movie, Devil Conspiracy. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this one. I really don't remember it, honestly. It's not terrible, but I'm going to put it in D. I really don't remember it. Then we get Plane, and this is another pretty decent movie. It's not great. It's not bad. I thought it was good. So you're going to go and C. Definitely not as good as Old Way, because I kind of feel like it has a much better story. Plane is just a pilot crash landed in this place, and he's trying to fight off these invaders. And it's a pretty cool story. Then we get House Party, the reboot of House Party. And I thought, if you're retelling House Party in a new way, with teenagers or people going into college and they need to do all this stuff, and sexy hot girls in new life. It has all that good stuff, but it just kind of makes you just want to go back and rewatch the original. So I think it kind of doesn't necessarily work at that part, but I will still put it in C, though it's going to go at the bottom, though. Then we get Sick, another movie that I actually was kind of excited for, because it's basically taking place during COVID-19, like in April of 2020, during COVID. And you have this killer. If you just remove the COVID plot line, it's really just a basic it's basically just it's a basic action, not action movie. It's a basic horror movie, a basic thriller movie. It's a basic movie as a whole. So it's like if you just remove the COVID plot line, it really is just a basic movie as hell. Then we get The Drop, and honestly, I would say this is one of the worst films I've seen. Every character just does something so awkward in this movie that I feel so uncomfortable. You literally drop a baby on its head. I'm like, this is crazy. And then like these people are having relationship issues. It is just terrible. Doggone. I thought this was actually a pretty good but kind of flawed movie about this kid that comes back to his parents' house. He comes home with a dog, and he starts to realize the kid starts to realize that he needs to take care of his dog more, and he also has sickness. His dog gets lost, but he also realizes he's dealing with sickness himself, not just because his dog is missing, but he's been suffering with it for a couple of months now. And so I think it kind of explored some stuff that I thought was interesting. So I'm actually going to put this in the B tier for me. I really liked Doggone. Then we get There's Something Wrong with the Children. I thought this was actually a pretty fine. I thought this was a pretty good movie. I don't know if I'm gonna put it at the top of C, just because I don't put it at the top. I don't think it was fantastic, but I thought it was good. And then we get the next big bangers on this list with Searching. So obviously, I heard so many great reviews for Searching and Missing, and so I was like, I watched Searching late at night, and I was like, I was so excited to check this out. And once again, they did it. They made another great movie. Like, 2018 was the great year for movies. And this movie just proves this was a great film. I mean, the fact that the whole film just takes place on technology and the way that we use and consume technology, and even in the characters that they created, the story, and like, how do you do this story? So you call your friends. How do you do that? You call your people. Like, you track the locations. Like, it does so much unique stuff. Fun fact, I'm actually going to be doing a Celebration of Cinema review by the end of this month, because it's actually going to turn 5 years old this year. But for me, I'm putting this above Mission Impossible. I loved Searching. It was so good. And then we also get Missing, which I thought was also a fantastic film. A great follow-up, a great spin-off to Searching, that it kind of does everything that I loved about Searching, except does it 10 times better. Now, I would still put Searching above, but Missing does stuff where it's like, instead of the parent looking for the child, it's now the child looking for the parent. And I thought they did a unique twist, but at the same time, the relationships are different. Storm Reid is very good in this film. This was kind of like one of my introductions to her. I don't really know how I got introduced to Storm Reid. Probably from The Last of Us, though I never actually watched the show. I just heard about her on television. But yeah, I thought the plot twist in it was kind of meh. It was alright, but honestly, I really enjoyed Missing. And you're going in A tier. Just great film. Masterpiece. Possibly one of my best favorite movies of this year. And then we also get The Sun, which I was also very shocked by. Hugh Jackman's performance, of course, is always great. He's always great in these roles. That last moment in the film when you get the kid shooting himself, and then Hugh Jackman just ends up crying because he was thinking about the life he could have had. Such sad stuff. Overall, it is really a film about dealing with acute depression and that, like, what it can have on someone. Though it's also based off a play too, so I don't know much about that, but it was a very emotional experience. Like, ever since I watched Doggone, I just been getting a lot of emotional films that it's like, why was January filled with so many emotional films? So it's really crazy. Then we get When You Finish Saving the World. I thought this was basic. Honestly, I didn't really care for it all that much. It brings in the actor that plays Stranger Things, and I'm like, why exactly is it called When You Finish Saving the World? Saving the world from what? Like, I was going into this thinking it was a superhero film, and it wasn't. I'm like, what is this? So I had no interest in it. Then we get to the Detective Night films, which were somewhat released between October and December of last year, and then January of this year. So it's it kind of reminds me of the Fear Street trilogy that we got from Netflix a couple years back, which I thought were actually pretty good films. And honestly, I didn't really care for much of these. I would say that they're D. And then Detective Redemption, I would put. I would put right here, and then Detective Independence. It's just I wish they offered more, but you know they're not. The Prestige. I'm kind of going through all these movies fast because I'm trying not to. I want to upload this video. The Prestige. I thought it was a great movie. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. Definitely my favorite Christopher Nolan film. Definitely the first one where I was very much intrigued, and I really like these types of stories. So I'm putting this in the A tier. Then we get Dracula, a very cool experience that brings the Dracula character to life, and it's also just one of the really good earlier films of the 1930s, where that's kind of why I like the 1930s, where it really just presents really good classic films, and I just love that. So I'm putting this one in the B tier. Then we get Kids vs. Aliens. Basic plot, Kids vs. Aliens. Not much really to it. I would put it above Sick, because I thought it was kind of more enjoyable, but it's fine. And then we get Shotgun Wedding, which, first off, how is J-Lo 50 years old and she still has ass? Pretty crazy. But, you know, it has some fun action, some fun comedy. It kind of, like, I watched Murder Mystery this year, and I'm like, Murder Mystery is so much fun and has a lot more good action. This movie just kind of feels like it's the lesser down version of that, and I'm not really as entertained with it, though I did kind of enjoy it. So I'll put it above Sick, just because I think it uses the premise just a little bit better. And then we get Maybe I Do, and I thought it was it kind of had complication with story issues, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't know what it was really trying to do, so I'm gonna put it here. I had a hard time connecting with it. Then we get Life Upside Down. Interesting story. You have the guy that played the guy in Nobody and Better Call Saul and stuff like that. So I thought it was actually pretty good. I would say it's better than the Detective Night film. And then we also get Fear, which was another movie that I was just not caring for at all. I'm actually going to put it between Conspiracy, Devil Conspiracy, and When You Finish Saving the World, because I think it actually did some stuff, and When You Finish Saving the World has some nice little moments there. Frankenstein. Frankenstein was another film that I actually thought was good. Granted, it's the second film in the Monster World trilogy, Monster World universe. I thought it was good. I thought this was better than Dracula. It took that mythology of Frankenstein and brought it to the big screen, and it worked. I thought it worked. Then we get Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Good popcorn movie, very enjoyable, and honestly, it's the same. I feel it in the same way of Barbie Mermaid Power. I'll put it here. I really enjoyed it. Like, I enjoy the first two Transformers movies. Like, I don't see the problems with it. It may be a little cheesy, maybe a little bit corny, but I kind of enjoy the action and spectacle and some of the emotions of it and the way the story goes. Then we get The Meg, which was another movie that I also very enjoyed, and I'm putting this one in the B tier above the Mermaid Power and Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. It's just such a fun movie with the shark action and the human characters. It's kind of one of those movies where you're handling an extinct creature, and the human characters, part of it kind of works. I thought it was good, and I am kind of excited for the sequel. I want to see it if I can. Then we get Murders in the Rue Morgue. I thought it was good. I thought it was good, but so Murders in the Rue Morgue, I thought was good, but it's easily my least favorite of the MonsterVerse verse of the Universal Monster movies. So for me, I'll still put it in good, but it's gonna go at the very bottom of good for B. And then we get to the next two films on the list, which of course we have like 9 other movies to talk. We have like 8 other movies to talk about here. But last week I spent, because this week we're getting a new Ninja Turtles movie called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. I'm beyond excited for that film. And then we're also getting, when I'm in Disney, we're getting a fan film called Spider-Man Lotus on YouTube. And so basically I kind of wanted to do that, I wanted to kind of watch the Ninja Turtles movies that I haven't seen, as well as the low-budget Spider-Man films I haven't seen. And what's kind of cool is that Spider-Man and Ninja Turtles have a lot of things in common. They're both beloved, and they're both based off comic books. And they both have been made great adaptations, except Spider-Man has been done better. But with these Ninja Turtles films that I saw, I would say these are my favorites of all the Ninja Turtles movies I've seen, besides the live-action films and other animated films. And Turtles Forever, I just think was such a fun time. I just thought, obviously I know nothing about these two other versions of these two teams of turtles, but just all the interactions between the two characters, bringing in April O'Neil and Casey from their worlds and combining it together, but then having that Shredder of that main universe threatening the entire Turtle multiverse, that's something so interesting. You get like the live action Turtles, the TMNT Turtles, and the film was released in 2009, so they're able to do that. So I'm like, this is so much fun, and even in some of the action is kind of cool. My biggest gripe with the film, though, is I kind of wish it was a little bit longer. If it was a little bit longer to flesh a little bit things out, like maybe an hour and 30 minutes, it would have been a much better film. But still, I think this is a great achievement from this. So I'm putting this probably, put it here, just because I thought it was, actually, you know what, screw it, I'm putting it B. I thought it was great. And then we get Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which by far is my favorite Ninja Turtles movie plus Batman film. You know, you go into a movie like this and, you know, you just expect, oh, Batman and Ninja Turtles action fighting each other. When you actually watch it, there's so much fun to be had. I mean, the fact that you get the Bat family plus the Ninja Turtles teaming up together, like, it's not just Ninja Turtles and Batman teaming up together. You get Batgirl, Robin, and Alfred with them, but then you also get some of the iconic villains of Batman. And what's even fun is you get some of the most iconic Batman villains turning into mutants. Like, you get Harley Quinn turning into a dog, Joker turning into some sort of snake, Mr. Freeze turning into a polar bear. I mean, they just do something so creative with it. Even Batman fighting Shredder is fun. Leonardo fighting Ra's al Ghul. So much fun to be had. Mikey having fun on the Batmobile. So much fun, and each character that they interact with, whether it's Leo with Batman, Batgirl with Donnie, Raph with Robin, and then Mikey with Alfred, all the interactions between the characters, they found a way to, like, make them so relatable and so fun. It's like, this is the perfect crossover that I've ever seen in an animated film. I'm like, this is so good.
You might think a bad guy is sexy.
Don't mind that. But probably my only gripe with the movie, though, the main story itself with Shredder teaming up with Batman villains, not the most enjoyable storyline out there, but it is still very good. So I have to put this at the top. It's going above Mission Impossible Between Missing and Mission Impossible Fallout. And then we get into the next 6 films with the Spider-Man films, and Spider-Man 1977 I thought was okay. I thought it had, you know, this was one of their earlier movies for, you know, little low-budget Spider-Man films. The costume is pretty but I thought it was okay. It had this, like, plotline about mind control, and I couldn't really buy into it. So, I'm actually going to put it in the F tier, unfortunately. It was more enjoyable than The Drop, but, Then we get Spider-Man Strikes Back. I thought this was a little bit more enjoyable. I thought the action worked a bit better, as it was a little bit more practical. And granted, it's not as good as, it's still not great, but I put it maybe even here. I still give it a pretty high score. And then we get Spider-Man Dragons Challenge, and I would say that this is definitely my favorite of these Spider-Man films, as they create a story where Spider-Man is fighting Japanese characters. He runs away from this guy trying to save him, but that has consequences, as this girl thinks that he ran away to get help, but he ran away as like a coward. And it's like there's real Spider-Man themes in the cost of being Spider-Man through that. Granted, do I enjoy Spider-Man fighting Japanese people? I don't know, or like people from China or something. I don't know. I don't know if I really buy into that story, but it was still a ton of fun. So I'm gonna put this in the C tier. And then we get to our final three films with Back to School, Annabelle, and The Mummy. With Back to School, I thought it was a very enjoyable film. I thought all the actors in here, you get another young Robert Downey Jr. in here. He's great. And I thought the film was just overall a lot of fun. And even the interactions between the guy and the girl, it's just fun. Then we get Annabelle, which I thought was good enough, but it's flawed. I think you can go watch my review I just posted, but I think it has some story issues. It has some flaws. Just overall, it does what it needs to do. I wish they could have used the doll in a better way, and so I think I'm going to put it above Spider-Man's Dragon Challenge. And then we get The Mummy, which I would say is probably the most boring of our films. Which, it's like, of all the monster films that I saw, this was the one I was the least interested in. It was the one I just hated. I was bored. I did not feel scared. I did not like the Mummy stuff. I was not interested in it. Overall, it was just complete boring. It's the worst film of the month. I'm very sorry. And that is my review. That is my tier list for July Retro 2023 films ranked. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the about section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.